Welcome to our final session here, and the following 4 slides provide a step-by-step model for you to train your learners through a fun, interactive session in paragraph writing. Okay, let's get on to it. So I've divided it up into 3 ways to write a paragraph, and let's start. First way, question answer. Basically, having brought through one of the topic sentences, you can ask a question in your mind about the controlling focus. For example, one question could be, well, when can this happen? When can dogs be friendly to cats? And just writing the answer brings focus to a paragraph. Note, you don't need to write the question at all. The answer provides the focus naturally in itself. You might like to pause the recording just to read this and see if it works for you. Okay, so have I answered? When can this happen? Yes, I've given a few examples of when dogs can sometimes be friendly to cats. Okay, how will you train your learners to use this system of writing a paragraph? So, I think that again, making it a competition is a good idea. Get your learners to think of as many questions as possible in groups or by themselves, and using again a topic that is easy. We're going to continue on the theme of dogs, and here's some examples. So I have one paragraph there. You might like to stop the recording, have a read, and decide what question has been answered below in order to write the paragraph. Yes, you're correct. I think that was an easy one. What story do I know about a dog who has cared for a cat? Brilliant. So, an interactive exercise is to get your groups of learners to write a paragraph cooperatively on large sheets of paper, getting learners then to try and guess what question has been answered. If each group uses the same topic sentence, then choose secretly what question they're going to answer. It's really revealing because the different questions produce totally different paragraphs, and the learners find out that they are starting to control the content of their paragraph. It's very empowering, and I do hope you enjoy the one photo I think I found on the great Google of a dog with kittens. Right, okay. One more thing I'd like to add to this is how to use a concluding sentence in a paragraph. I have mentioned it briefly in this online module. Usually I teach my learners there are 3 ways to add a concluding sentence. Of course, it's completely optional whether you choose to write a concluding sentence on the end of your paragraph or not. So one way to write a concluding sentence is, I call them predicting concluding sentences. That one, how these kittens fared later in life, is another story. That sentence really doesn't have anything to do with the paragraph at all, but you can imagine that maybe the next paragraph is going to be about that topic. So that is called a predicting concluding sentence. Right. Next way to use a paragraph, can you guess? Because here we have 3 examples of different sized dogs, and yes, you probably guessed correctly. This is another way to write a paragraph. I call it the examples way. Let's keep it simple here, and some topic sentences really lend themselves to writing an example paragraph. Dogs come in many shapes and sizes. It's redundant to actually write, for example. Just write the examples, and that again naturally brings focus to a paragraph. Take a minute to read this small paragraph with 3 examples, and I'm also going to add a concluding sentence here, just as an example. So this one here is a restatement concluding sentence. It restates exactly the same information as in the topic sentence. So let's check that. Dogs come in many shapes and sizes. What a huge variety of dogs there are. It is exactly the same as the topic sentence. We've just really changed the vocabulary. Alright, are you ready for the next and third way to write a paragraph? Proof. I think that we have perhaps been brought up with the word evidence, but it's nice to use the word proof because once the topic sentence has been written, for example, dogs have a highly developed sense of smell, you can just ask your learners to, well, prove it. In fact, if you're adding some really good evidence and your learners are learning to write research essays or something which needs some really strong evidence, then you can add quotes or reference your proof paragraph. For some reason I think 3 is a nice magic number in paragraphs, so in the paragraph I'm about to put up on the screen I have included 3 proofs. In fact, you can have more, you can have less, or should I say fewer. And the other part of this is you don't only have proofs, you can add examples inside a proof paragraph. It can be mix and match, but just teaching your learners these 3 ways and working with them initially first, I think is a really good way for them to play with the concept of writing paragraphs, to play with the idea of being in control of how they can write a paragraph. In the interactive session, if you're asking your learners to prove something, it might be a good idea to get them to create some mental images, maybe even to sketch a few of the proofs before you start putting things on paper. Here I've gone through and got 3 images of dogs, one finding his bone in a sealed container, another one at the airport I think, and then another one tracking in the forest. Using a lot of these visual cues is really important, and it's a nice way to transition when you're teaching learners how to write a paragraph, transition from pictures to words. Okay, here's our paragraph. I'm going to read it to you and you can read it with me. Dogs have a highly developed sense of smell, so we have asked our learners to prove it. Proof is experiments have been conducted to show that even if their toys, food or items of clothing are placed inside containers, dogs can still sniff them out. This is why sniffer dogs are used at airport borders, discovering drugs, biohazards and illegal food items. Dogs are also able to track people on the run, find lost hikers or skiers buried in snow just by following a scent. Nice paragraph, isn't it? It's got a few examples thrown in there as well, and I'm just going to add a concluding sentence. Why not? This is a summary concluding sentence. It's not predicting because it is about the paragraph information that we have right there in front of us. It is not a restatement because actually it's different, a different meaning from that topic sentence, but it does summarize the content of that paragraph very nicely. Dogs' noses have proven very useful to humans. a summary of that usefulness that we've just explored in our proof paragraph. Right, so we have in those 3 slides looked at the 3 ways to use it was 4 slides, 3 ways to write a paragraph. The first way was question answer, where we thought of a question in our mind and then just wrote the answer. The second way was examples, where we had the topic sentence which lent itself to examples and 3 examples. And the third way was proof, where we asked our learners to prove their controlling focus statement. I also mentioned that you can put examples inside a proof paragraph, and I think the last thing we need to say here is, after your learners have played a lot with how to write a paragraph and played a lot with these topic sentences and brainstormed, it would be a good idea next to think of the reader, because what does the reader want or expect? Your learner may have a great fascination with maybe genetic health problems of the Alaskan Husky sled dog and want to write a paragraph about that, but although we're not covering it here now, it would be good just at the end of working through this to ask the question intermittently, what kind of topic do you think that your reader would expect, would want? How do you determine what is going to be really important for your reader? Okay, and that is the end of our fully online module for writing. I hope you enjoyed it, and looking forward to some feedback on that, and hopefully your learners will all be writing paragraphs beautifully in 2012.